Hey everybody, welcome to Storytime with me and Kolby. Today we're going to be reading Dottie Bug Finds Her Purpose. At the front it says, children need to be reminded that we are all created special and unique in God's eyes. Our identity does not come from the validation of others. If your child can grasp this simple but life-changing principle early, they will be better equipped to go to battle with the evil one. Parents, it is recommended to read this story over and over again. Well, we're going to break it in. This is Dottie Bug Finds Her Purpose, a bug story by Susan Sowers. Okay? There once was a ladybug named Dottie. She was a sweet and kind little ladybug. She was very much like all the other ladybugs in her village, except in one way. She was red, but instead of having black spots, she had white spots, just like you, Cole. All the other ladybugs made fun of her, some were even cruel. This made Dottie very sad and very lonely. Every day some ladybug would say unkind things about her, just loud enough for poor Dottie to hear. It was more than she could bear. One day Dottie asked her mother what she could do. Her mother replied, well, sweet Dottie Bug, you could pay Mr. Solomon a visit. He is the wisest one in our village. Thanks, Mama. That's a good idea, Dottie said. Dottie loved the nickname her mother always called her. As Dottie came up to Mr. Solomon's little house, he was working in his garden. Mr. Solomon was very old and very kind. That's Mr. Solomon. Mr. Solomon looked up and said, oh, I love sweet peas, don't you, Dottie? Dottie was surprised he knew her name. She asked him, Mr. Solomon, how did you know my name? He smiled and said, of course I know your name. I know every ladybug's name. I remember when you were born. Dottie said, my goodness, you do? Yes, dear Dottie, Mr. Solomon continued. I was so pleased when I saw your pretty white spots. Dottie was amazed. Pleased to see my white spots, she said. She couldn't believe it, huh? Mr. Solomon replied, oh my, yes. God made you exactly the way he wanted, perfectly. God never makes mistakes. This was news to Dottie. She said, I thought I was a big mistake. At least all the other ladybugs sure seem to think so. Dottie, Mr. Solomon continued, many ladybugs forget God created us all and he loves us very much. We all are created for a very special purpose that God has planned for us before we were ever even born. Mr. Solomon asked, now, Dottie, what was it that you came to see me about? Oh, you have answered my question, Mr. Solomon. Thank you very much, Dottie replied. Then he replied, glad to help you, dear. Come and see me any time. Dottie flew away. She had a lot to think about. She landed on the path that went to the meadow and on down into the forest. Just as she found a comfortable log in the sunny meadow to relax on, she heard yelling and cries for help. They seemed to be coming from the village, her village. Oh no, Dottie said, I must fly back to the village and help. Back in the village, uh-oh, guys. She took off, and as she got closer, there in the middle of the village was the largest, meanest, and ugliest bug, swiping at all the villagers, snapping his jaws, trying to grab them. Ladybugs were running around in fear without thinking. Dottie buzzed over. Don't worry, she'll be okay. Dottie buzzed over and around the nasty bug's head, trying to draw his attention away from the villagers. The giant bug, angered by Dottie's flying, bounded after her. Dottie took off, flying down the path toward the deep, dark forest with the mean and very angry bug chasing her. Oh no, I think she'll be okay. Uh-oh, look, guys. Uh-oh, let's get into it. She frantically flew down the path and around the bend, hearing the pounding of the dreaded bug's feet getting closer and closer. Dottie knew there was a sticky mud hole in the center of the dark forest, but she was afraid of getting trapped in the forest with the horrible bug. The villagers were afraid for Dottie and ran down the path where the two had gone, but they kept a safe distance from the bad bug. They too could hear the pounding of the giant bug's feet as he chased poor Dottie down the path toward the forbidden forest. As the ladybugs reached the bend, Dottie and the angry bug had passed. They stopped in fear. All of a sudden, there was a holler, and then a splash, and then silence. No other sounds could be heard after that. Oh no. The villagers huddled, afraid of what might have happened to sweet, brave little Dottie and the mean giant bug. Did they both disappear into the mud hole forever? Then they heard a rustling from the left side of the bend. Over near the red and white spotted mushrooms. It was Dottie. She had hidden herself by the mushrooms. The red mushrooms with the white dots looked just like her back. Can you believe that? Yay, all the villagers shouted. Dottie saved us, and they all put Dottie up on their shoulders and paraded her back into town, singing and celebrating. Dottie's mother hugged her, and then Mr. Solomon came up to Dottie and said, "You see, Dottie, your white spot's all special. God never makes a mistake." The other ladybug stopped making fun of Dottie, and she never felt alone again. The end. Oh. Whew. That was a close one, huh? Love you guys.